Hi, I'm Lam Nguyen, and I'm a producer here at AYP. Today we join Brittany Bowen, a person who has somehow managed to balance a life between a full-time job at Google and being a full-time photographer as well.
Hi, my name is Brittany Bowen, and I work full-time at Google as well as the owner and operator of Brittany Bowen Photography.
Given that you work with a lot of models who aren't professional models, what is it that you do ahead of time to try to prepare them for their shoots?
Well, a lot of the models I deal with are just friends of mine. People that I've seen work with other photographers, people who are interested in doing something a little bit different. So really what I do ahead of time is just let them know that this is going to be a collaborative shoot. It's not something that I'm just going to be directing and they're just going to be doing whatever I tell them. It's really going to be something that we're putting together. So I really tell them to, okay, get prepared to be dirty. Prepare to get out of your comfort zone and be prepared to, I guess, get comfortable in really weird situations. So once people kind of master that and they kind of get over the fear of looking weird or having a fat roll hang out or something like that, then photos generally turn out absolutely amazing. It's just getting people out of their comfort zones initially.
Okay, Brittany, so you choose some pretty creative themes for your photography. How do you choose your themes initially?
Well, initially it just really comes off of daily inspiration. Some things like my floating series is based off of just, dreams and aspirations I've had and reaching towards things that maybe seem totally impossible at first, but I end up being able to achieve them. Other themes like the modern Disney series was just something that I thought of one day. It was just a random idea that popped in my head thinking, well, what would modern day Disney characters look like today? So some are a little bit more elaborately thought out and really complex details are put into them, and other ones are just a whim, just an idea that hit me one day and I thought, well, this would be a lot of fun to shoot. So it's totally different depending on the theme.
How do you end up choosing your models?
It really depends on the theme, honestly. A lot of my floating series is myself. I do a lot of self-portraits for those kind of deals because it's a lot easier to describe a really complex theme, I guess, to myself, or not even having to describe it as much as just being able to execute it initially without having to have that middleman, that model that I have to try to elaborately explain my ideas to. For the modern Disney series, that was something that it kind of came naturally. I had friends volunteering to just be a part of this project, and so I was able to kind of match them according to personalities or what I felt like they would be best for. So it can be anywhere between a really complex person, a lot of thought behind it, to I just need a body right now and I can make it work and make it elaborate and beautiful no matter who's in it. So it really depends on the shot.
So once you've chosen your model, you have your theme. One thing that I noticed about your photography is that there's always a consistent aesthetic between your themes. Like within a group of shots within a theme, there always is a color palette or a lighting scheme that you typically stick with within that theme. How do you end up choosing that?
It really depends on the feel of the actual shot. So some of my series have been a lot more airy, a lot more light and mystical, almost dreamlike. And so I want to keep a very natural light feeling to it and keep it very low contrasted and just in very warm feeling. And so I'll try to keep that in mind in editing all of those photos. Whereas some of my themes are a little bit darker and deeper. And so I want to, again, keep that theme in mind when I'm editing and just make sure that everything feels a little bit more dark and matted and a little bit more almost disturbed feeling. And so you really have to keep those emotions with you when you're editing every specific type of photo for every different type of series that you're shooting. So it's just kind of keeping that connection to your photos and that editing process to make sure that you're kind of continuously having those same themes throughout.
So something I've noticed with some of your themes is that there's a consistency with the editing as well. And in some of the themes, there's quite a bit of editing. And I think that from a photographic perspective, there are a lot of photographers out there who are scared to edit. I'd like you to speak a little bit about how you use the editing in your choosing of the themes and how you then implement those themes with the editing in mind.
Oh, absolutely. Editing is kind of a weird concept. I'll do a little bit of backstory, not to drag this out too far, but some of my idols, Brooke Shaden, Kirsty Mitchell, David Talley, all these people are absolute, just the amazing people in this specific field. And I always thought that I had to edit. I've absolutely had to overly edit all my photos and make them look really dreamlike and crazy in order to get any kind of traction on my photos. And in that process, I kind of learned that it's not necessarily lighting and tinting and those kind of things that really make a photo. Sometimes it's actual piecing together images in Photoshop. So yes, editing is involved, but it's a different kind of editing. So the floating series, for example, is a series that I could have never shot organically from just a camera. It's a series that I actually had to shoot piece by piece. In some of the floating series, I'm shooting my legs in one image, my arms in another image, my head and my hair in a whole different image. And then I have to piece together sometimes 7 or 8 images to create one whole image. I feel like editing is a really large part of what I do. It's highly important. Some of my images, like I said, I can just add a color correction here and there, but in order to really achieve the surreal and dreamlike photos that I absolutely love to create, you're kind of forced to use Photoshop. You're kind of forced to be able to do the things that you can't just organically shoot. So I really think it's important, and I don't feel like people should be afraid to edit because, like I said, this is your artwork. This is what you can create. It's about you, and it's not about what other people are doing. So I think editing is hugely important in what I do specifically.
Be sure to subscribe to our blog now to stay updated on my show, and we'll give you tips and insight to keep advancing your photography. Also, check out our guests' website for a closer look at their work. Tune in to our next episode of Advancing Your Photography for an inside look at another photographer's world. Until then, this is Marc Silber reminding you to get out and capture your own images of life.